Okay, it is 9:28. It is a Friday, the last day of the week, August the 6th. The watch list here has not changed other than the fact that that other stock, CLWD or something like that, it's now this one. It's a name change. I probably won't trade this one. I can't see anything, and I don't want to maybe trade it, and Schwab doesn't know what stock it is or some kind of issue like that, but I'll be looking for potential morning panic bounce plays again. We'll see if we can get any today. Okay, it is 9:38. This is the first time I've ever done this, at least that I can remember, since I, came back into trading maybe last year in February. This was a morning spike setup. I traded a tiny position because I wasn't really sure, how this thing could go. I mean, it could just look like it's gonna morning spike and then it falls off a cliff, right? So I took a buy at KYNC. Why? Because this thing is down so much the other day. Promoters or whoever is behind the stock, they don't want to get, too much bad attention. So after it falls really harshly, sometimes they try to get it, back, not all the way, but they try to give it a spike. So it's just, it's just tending to people's feeling, psychology in terms of how they feel about the company and the stock. So I thought, okay, once it was starting to show that it could potentially hold this 13 level, I took a buy at 134, which wasn't the best, but I wanted a bit of a confirmation before I considered a buy. And this was only like a $130 position, and I sold at 141. I bought and sold the same minute right here, 931, 141. It did get as high as 15.4. But that would have been after this red candle right here, which might have been kind of hard for me to hold through. I don't regret my sell at all too much. It was a good attempt trying morning panic bounce setups, and I will keep trying. As for morning, did I say morning panic bounce setups? I mean morning spikes. Now, for morning panic bounce setups, I think I said incorrectly previously, just a few seconds ago. I don't see anything that looks nice for morning panic bounce plays. DPLS was kind of interesting, but then it started trading just kind of ugly, just getting back and forth between VWAP. It's done this before. I mean, that's just the way it is. So there's no setups that I see right now, but I will keep looking. That was a good attempt at the morning panic bounce setup, and it was just a tiny gain because I traded small, but it was a good practice. Okay, it is 9:53. I was watching KXIN for a dip towards VWAP, and it looks like I just missed out because it didn't really drop towards VWAP. There was a lot of support on the bid that was just trying really hard to keep it above 250, and it did a good job. Now it's at 270. I won't be interested in this one anymore if it drops towards VWAP. This could be a bull flag, so it had a nice spike from 209 to 250, so give or take 20%, and it has this drop right here. I was thinking maybe it could get to VWAP and then it can do a nice spike like it's doing here. Instead, it just kind of did the bull flag pattern off of this 250 level, and I guess VWAP could have been maybe a risk level instead. But that's very nice. Hopefully it can keep going. I hope that's not all it can do, but it did do a nice spike. KYNC, wow, it's down again even more. When I was in and out here, the only time I would have been able to sell for less than what I bought, because I bought at 134 at 131, honestly, there wasn't really a time where I would have been able to sell this thing for a loss. Not even break even. It would have always been a profit, except for right here. But by then it got, by the time it would have been here, I would have likely have sold in the 45s or something like that with all this crazy wicking action. Looks like it's gonna have another panic, but I'm not really that interested in trading this because it's just continuously, showing itself to just fade all the time. So I'm not that interested in it. There's that breakout. Let's see how high this thing can keep going, if it can make another massive move. That's a good lesson. I guess I should have maybe have considered more the bull flag setup and have VWAP as a risk level, perhaps, because it was very strong looking. But that's alright. I don't have the best experience with listed stocks, but I am trying to get better at this. CRSM is uptrending. It is like a nice green day stock, and I guess the level to break would be 55. That would be hard. It's holding VWAP. You could say this is a dip towards VWAP. I don't really think it is, because it normally spikes much higher than VWAP and then it drops to it. I don't really consider this wick a drop from 50 to 47, 46. I don't really consider it. It just doesn't feel right. It looks like it's trying to break it now, but this isn't the same. Yeah, I'll make an update later, but nothing right now. Okay, it is 10:04 a.m. I did see this downtrend here, and I did not consider it at all, but I'm happy to see that this panic actually worked. 11.5 to now 12.6 is the top right here, and I guess in theory there are just a lot of short sellers who might be considering this right here to be a spot where they can cover their position, which would make a lot of buying, as well as dip buyers who still are not tired of getting burned perhaps from this stock. I don't know, but I'm happy to see something like this work in the future. If I see a stock that has just this crazy downtrend like it did here, I can consider it now potentially for a morning panic bounce play, even if it's been down so much and it's been failing consistently. Maybe at some point there are going to be short sellers covering into their positions, and it can make a nice move again from 11.5 to 11.26. Let's see if this thing is going to continue to fade down, or if it's going to just fade a little and then catch itself and keep going, maybe towards VWAP. You know, I'd be surprised if this stock does not try to come back in any way, shape, or form if it just keeps falling off a cliff. I would be really surprised, because, you know, if a stock falls like that and it actually just never bounces back, I've learned that, you know, that is like really asking for the SEC to get on your ass. So, you know, in theory, this thing has all the reason to keep uptrending, you know, for at least for a little bit, and then it just consolidates and fades off slowly. I guess an example would be LTNC, right? This thing had this big uptrend, falls, kind of held itself, and then it actually made another move, choppy downtrend, and then it makes a higher, a lower high right here, and then it fades, and then, you know, it kind of goes up and down, plays by the wick. So it's not just straight down. Now it kind of faded off, and now, you know, it could try to turn around or something, but it's not. See, this is a little more gradual, a little safer compared to KYNC, which is just kaboom, you know. So that's what I have in mind, but, you know, that doesn't mean it has to happen. It's just a good chance that this thing could continue an uptrend. Now, maybe this is all it's going to do. I'd be surprised. I would expect it to at least maybe try to get the 20. Yeah, 20 or 21, but I have no control over what this one is going to do. BTBT is looking nice. Now it's at 16, almost 17. That's pretty cool. KXIN, I might consider this for a head and shoulders buy. So if it makes a shoulder, here's a head and it drops, and then it starts holding some level, maybe I can take a buy and see if it makes another shoulder, or if it, you know, it's so strong that it breaks the head and shoulders pattern, and it just breaks, you know, past the potential head, which would be here in the high 270s. I could consider that, but right now I don't see anything really clear at the moment. Alright, it is 10:25 a.m. I actually totally forgot about KXIN. So it did do that head and shoulders failure. Shoulder head, and then it kind of didn't really round off and make a clean head, but this could have been like a shoulder right here in the 260s. Maybe the risk would be right below the wicks at 255. Small $10 risk, I guess, in theory, and hey, it gets a 3. So 4-to-1 risk reward, I guess. But now I would be looking at this being the head for a head and shoulder, shoulder, head, and then it makes a shoulder, and then I can maybe consider another dip buy opportunity, although I might be kind of pushing it. KYNC, I was looking at this thinking, hey, maybe it's gonna hold around here and put up a higher low. Nope, it keeps fading. I actually considered buying, you know, 10.15, 10.16, but I just didn't like the price action. And then I thought, is this really gonna work out? Is it really just gonna be like this? So I had it at the bid, which would have been, you know, 122. But yeah, I'm glad I canceled the orders, changed my mind, and it did continue the downtrend some more. CPSL, nothing here. BTBT, I was looking at BTBT as well for like a dip towards VWAP, but then I thought this thing isn't perfect. Had it have spiked from 15.39 to 17, you know, 20, and then drop towards VWAP, that would have been nice, but it had this right here and then it did that, so it wasn't perfect, and it's right under it. RGBP is nothing here that I'm interested in. I guess I'll be looking at KXIN, but that's all I got for today. I don't think there's going to be, you know, any OTC setups, but you know, there might be one, who knows. Alright, it is 10:47. I was watching KXIN for like a head and shoulders buy, so shoulder, then it makes a head, and then it, you know, makes a shoulder, and then I buy into that shoulder dip, and then maybe we get a spike. You know, well, I think I said it wrong. It makes a shoulder, a head, and then it dips, right? And then I take a buy, and then it makes a shoulder I sell into. But this thing was looking so stupid strong here that I thought maybe this thing is not even going to do it. Maybe it's going to be a shoulder here, it's going to be a head, but then it's going to fail and immediately break past it, because it was looking so strong. It was holding this level so nicely, and I got played really, because at 10:39 I took a buy at 290, which wasn't really the best entry. In theory, it should have been in the 280s when it was looking like it was trying to hold that level, right? But I took a buy there thinking this thing is going to actually make an uptrend and not even like downtrend, which it's doing now, and just continue spiking, right? So I took a buy there, and then a price action immediately after I bought, right? 40, 41, 42, 3 red candles in a row of disgusting trading. Like the last time I did it was right here, right? It was just really bad price action, and that really sucked. And I did have a chance in theory to get out for a tiny profit, but back then it was just proving itself whether it's going to work or not. I could have sold much higher, but I don't regret my sell at 2816, basically 282, because of the fact it could have just turned around and did this crack. And I did sell at 1042, which was right here, 1, 2, 3 minutes before the ultimate breakdown, which I'm glad I avoided. So that was not the best trade. I could have gotten a lot. It wouldn't have been bad if my entry was in the 280s, like 282. But the fact that I didn't do that, you know, I probably is what messed me up the most here, right here. But it was a good lesson. If this thing in theory tries to hold itself at some point, maybe here at VWAP, I can do a buy maybe for a spike that makes a shoulder maybe in the 290s or something. Not want to be that bad, but I'll have to just sit back and reanalyze this and see how it trades. So yeah, that was a great lesson learned there. At least I traded half size. I was trying to do 100 shares, but then I changed my mind and went with 50 because I didn't really like the fact that I was gonna take a buy up here, wanting it to head lower like it's doing now. But now that it's there, I don't really know if I should really take it into consideration. It's just gonna be a watch. I don't mind if I miss it. I'd rather just learn from it. And BTBT, basically, had I paid attention more, did what I wanted with KXIN. Makes a shoulder, it makes a head, and then it drops, right? This is where I could have done that buy. It was under VWAP. I was thinking too much about VWAP and not paying attention to the fact that this thing could have been what I was doing. So, right, a shoulder, a head, and then it drops here, and then it makes the shoulder the sell into, which would have been 616 to the 1680s. I guess this thing doesn't offer the best range because it's a higher priced stock, but that's what I was thinking of here with KXIN. Now my fear is that this thing is just gonna make a downtrend for a very long time. So that was a good lesson there. I don't think my exit was bad, but my entry should have been a lot better. I shouldn't have you know, chased, but at the time it looked very strong. But you know, again, 3 red candles of volume followed it right afterwards, so some good lessons learned there. I just need to take things easy with listed stock trading. Okay, it's 10:58. I tried at 267 right at 10:56, but it started to turn around at that point, and I don't want to chase this thing. It could still fail. Just a random sharp red candle, but in theory this thing is doing it. It needs to get much higher for it to be a shoulder. That would be nice to sell into, but I'm just not going to trade it anymore. I'm just going to actually sit back and see what it does. Something just feels a bit iffy about it. I'm probably wrong. It's just that I don't have much experience trading listed stocks, but I don't want to just be like slowly trying to chase my entry one penny at a time. And then I did try to buy again at like 270, but I accidentally had it at sell instead of buy. So at that point I thought, alright, let me just see what this thing does. I don't have to trade it. I could just take that L from that previous trade and just learn a lesson there and just see how high this thing can go and learn from it. Although it feels a bit sketchy. So that's where I'm at. I'm just gonna watch it and see what this thing does. Okay, it is 11:40. I will likely not make any more trades the rest of today, or at least for right now. KXIN, remember this price action was kind of iffy. It did downtrend a little, and then it started doing this, and it was barely moving. And I thought, you know what, this might actually be that shoulder I was going for. So maybe you're buying the 265 and selling at 276. The shoulder just didn't really get that high. It really reached the highs of this one. So then when I realized this, I said, alright, the pattern's out and I can't short this thing. So it did do it nicely, 277 to 245, and it still has a lot of room to downtrend. The volume is fading as well. So congrats. I should have not have traded that one right there. That was pretty dumb. Or at least I could have been in the 280s, then it would have been okay. Because at that point it would have been break even. I shouldn't have tried to chase it the way I did there. KYNC, I guess inverse head and shoulders, but I don't see anything really nice. I mean, congrats to anybody who got into that, but really not a clean looking chart. NSAV had another one of these random dips. Doesn't look clean. I'll consider it if it does something large, like if it cracks 82 maybe, or 95, 94. That might be a lot better. RGBP nothing. CPSL is uptrending, but nothing I want to trade. BTBT, this one I like it. It keeps uptrending. And yeah, that's all I got. I'll make an update later. Probably that's all I got for today. Alright, it is 3:37 p.m. and I had one more trade here with VNTH. I saw an alert from Tim Sykes that he was in VNTH, and I took a look at the stock. Okay, I recognize it. It's up at the very end of the day. It has some kind of big news. It's spiking large, and I thought, alright, I knew what kind of setup this could be. Clearly not the best entry at 29. Because I feel like, for a stock like this, a setup like this, that spikes, you then trade maybe the dip on something that is immediately spiking in the morning or afternoon like this. And in this case, the ideal entry would have been somewhere around the 26, 27 level. So me being in at night 29, I knew that my entry was not the best. So I took a buy at 29. And I wanted it to immediately work, in fear that I'm in at the top, right? And this thing is just going to start heading down towards the end of the day. Out of fears of that possibility, I immediately, took that into consideration, that if it's not going to start working right then and there, I'm going to be very, very, very motivated to get out extremely quickly. So that's what happened. I bought at 29. At 33, which was right back here, right in this little wiki price action, and then it did get as high as 31, right? That same minute, I believe, the same minute it got to 31 at 34. I guess the next minute it got to 31. Immediately it got stuffed. It was just looking bad, so it immediately started to turn back around. And I said, all right, I'm not trying to play games here. I tried to sell at 30 or 3. It didn't get executed. Immediately I closed the order, put a market sell before I start not trying to trade it perfectly or freaking out. So I got out just again because it got to 31. It got immediately stuffed. A lot of people are on the ask. Now it's looking really nice actually for this thing to continue an uptrend. And then I sold. It wasn't really at 3. It was 29.5. Let me just confirm that. 7.5. It's also a sub penny stock. Pretty sketchy. My sell was 2955, so not exactly 30. And it was just a small profit. I did trade a tiny position. I was thinking of trading a $300 position, but I didn't do it. I just went half size because it's not really ideal. I still am not really good at these morning spikes, late afternoon spikes. Even though I had a good one with KYNC today back here, I just have a really hard time grasping when should I sell on the spike. You know, is there a level I should cut the trade at? So in my theory, in cases like that, I just, you know, I'm just so quick to sell. I want to sell immediately when it starts looking like it's starting to turn around or some sign of topping action. So that was the case here. Yeah, it's at 27. That's where I'm at. I guess I had one more trade. 3 trades. Small trades. None of these were morning panic bounce plays. I'm up, I don't know, maybe $6 today or something like that. Could have been a lot nicer had I not have traded this. This was a bad trade. My entry was just bad there. And my sell wasn't that good. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but like I had a chance to a few times to sell at 289, but me trying to be Mr. Green, I tried to sell at 91, which would have been just a little higher than what I bought at. Had I maybe had this at 89 or something, I probably could have gotten executed and not have sold for you know, 816, 82. But we're talking about pennies here. I did trade a small size, and I feel like I've learned so much since that trade that I would never do something like that again. I was looking at this later the day if it could turn around and do something nice. It was like around here and it did downtrend some more, but it did turn around. This is nice, although kind of hard to call. It is a first day green day. Well, I wasn't too sure if it would work out because some of these other ones are not looking so nice, like KYNC is fading, NSAV is fading even more. CPSL is still holding itself. RGBP is also fading. This one was up on news. Maybe this can be a morning panic bounce play. It looks like it kind of had one in the morning, not a clean one because it's still uptrending. So maybe it can be one later. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I guess I had that one more trade. I'll make one more update when the market closes to see how well it does. But that's all I got for right now. Okay, it is 4:37 and I am here to call it off. VNTH finished at 23. Not really the best close, but hey, you know, that was the idea. Quick spike, downtrends, a dip buy. Did not have the best entry. I was in it at 29, which was a bit of a chase. At least I played it very conservatively because I knew I was not really at the best price. For that reason, I went, you know, a small size again. I'm trying to get good at spikes. It was a bit of a chase. I did see Tim's alerts. It wasn't, you know, good in that sense, but I liked that, you know, I saw the setup, I saw the pattern, and I decided to try it. It did get as high as 32. I don't know how long. You know, it was there at 32, but it was a good attempt. Immediately cut the trade when I didn't like the price action. I was able to get out for a tiny profit. My first trade with KYNC, morning spike. It wasn't bad at all. I liked it. I need to keep trading those and keep getting more experience. This one was pretty bad, KXIN. I mean, it finished nicely, but, you know, I was going for that head and shoulders buy. So head, shoulder, wanted it to see it drop and then a shoulder, the sell into, which happened here, which did not do very much. 266 to 278. Tiny shoulder. If I had been able to short, I would have considered shorting this. It dropped very nicely to 245 from 275. That would have been a very nice setup, but when it was right here, it just looked so stupid strong, and I was like, what in the world? Is it going to try to turn around here? Kind of like what it did here, you know, shoulder, head. I mean, that's what I was going for the first time, shoulder, head, and then I think I just missed it here. I forgot. If I can go back and watch today. But then it looks like it was going to do it again. I shouldn't have chased though. Had I have still bought in the 80s, or had I allowed it to spike and then come back for a confirmed breakout, that would have been so much better. So a lot of lessons were learned with that one. Should not have traded that one. No morning panic bounce setup, so you know, I didn't trade large with any setups I really liked. In theory, KYNC, I should have been more aggressive. I did go for that morning spike thinking this thing is going to try to reverse, but I should have pushed myself when it did a downtrend here for the same idea. And then here, the lower low, I could have been a part of this lower low setup, or even the inverse head and shoulders have a high of seen it. So I need to really just keep pushing myself and be more observant. A lot of things like that. Overall, not too bad, but definitely a lot of things I have to get better at.